Everybody?
Yeah!
There's an odd theme with family going on today, which is convenient because I brought along my dad. This is a picture of my dad, obviously. My whole life people have said we're very similar, we look alike. Certain aspects of that comparison terrify me. But, you know, my dad, I don't mind being compared to my dad. He's a great man. He is 50, so halfway. Halfway full of life for all of you who can't deal with reality. No, it's a matter of fact. You know, he's 50, he's turning 51, and every time he burps, I smell his ghost. When you get older, these new things start happening. You start getting new sound effects that follow your whole life. Like my dad orgasms a little every time he sits down. Some of you may have seen this. It's one of those... something like that. My dad, I've been through a lot of events with my dad in his life. I had a major role to play in his vasectomy. If I even deserve to have a major role to play in the neutering of my father, but I did. I had a job, and that job was rotating the 2 bags of frozen peas from the freezer to his ball sack while he sat in the basement and played on my Xbox all day. But my dad's not unlike all dads. He gets mad at me. Sometimes I'm a little confused, though, at why he's getting mad at me. I remember coming home one day and saying, Mom, Dad, I'm going to fail my Spanish class. And it didn't really register with him, and he's like, you got to try harder next time, bud. But later, I suggested that when the new PlayStation comes out, I'm going to switch over from Xbox. And he said, what the fuck are you thinking about doing? Who do you think you are that you could just come in and trade, go from Xbox to Play? I am disappointed in you. I said, Dad, I don't think I'm going to graduate. I did. You're probably wondering why a 19-year-old kid is telling jokes about a man that none of you have ever met. But there's a reason. He's turning 51 in a few days, and yeah, over halfway. And one of his dreams now is to retire and write for me one day, and that means a lot. So I thought for his birthday, I'd do just that and tell one of his famous stories that he told. So this is a true story about my dad. Let me give you a little information. My dad was born Jewish, my mom Catholic. We were raised Jewish. My mom converted in 2008. But when they were dating, my mom was still Catholic, and her cousin was getting married up in Buffalo, New York, where my mom is from. And so my mom and my dad went to the wedding, and it was the first time my dad had ever been in a church. And one of the things that was catching his interest were the confession booths on the sides of the chapel. And he decided when no one was looking that he would open the door, go in, and see what the whole deal is. And he did just that. And he's in there for maybe a minute when the other door opens and in walks a woman. And it's in this moment my dad realizes he's on the wrong side. And he thinks, fuck it, I'm a priest now. And so she starts confessing, she starts saying all these things, and eventually she gets to, I gave oral sex to my boyfriend. And my dad has no idea what to say. I mean, he's seen movies before, he knows it's 2 Hail Marys and a blah, 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 but he doesn't know how much for a blowjob. He didn't even know a blowjob was a sin. I think that's why my mom converted him. So he doesn't know what to say, but he sees there's a Bible sitting next to him. And he picks it up, and he opens it, and on the first page, there's a laminated piece of paper that's got a chart on it. And on one column, it's got a bunch of various sinful acts. And on the other column has the appropriate number of prayers to say to atone for that act. My dad's thinking, maybe like some of you, that this is pretty cheap, but this might save my ass. I could actually pull through with this. And so he starts looking for blowjob, and he can't find blowjob. And he starts looking for fellatio, and he can't find fellatio. And he finds sex, but nothing about oral sex. And so he realizes he should cut his losses and just leave. And he does that. He opens the door. But as he opens the door, a group of altar boys walk by. And he thinks, oh, I'll just ask them, and I can get out of this. And he goes, excuse me, what does Father San Marco give for a blowjob? And the altar boys say, oh, you mean a Snickers bar and a pack of baseball cards.